Hi, Michael. All you need to do is treat the website that Christina sent you as a separate website, even if it's in a subdirectory, doesn't matter. It's your publishing that matters. It can be anywhere on your computer. It does not matter what the name of your folder is or where it's located. All that matters is when you publish it up to the server, it goes into the correct folder on the server. So when you set your publishing settings, let's do with manage site here, and let's go and, like I said, I don't use Dreamweaver for publishing, and this is probably where you're getting sort of tied up because you already use Dreamweaver for your larger site, and now you don't want it to miss with the secondary site, right? So no, if you're doing this as a subdirectory, a subsite, it does not even need to be in the same folder locally. It can be in a separate place on your computer altogether. So I hope I'm not confusing you on that. Subdirectory to me means a separate website, its own website. Although it's in a subdirectory on the server, it's treated as its own separate entity, its own separate website. So where you have it on your local computer doesn't matter. Where it goes in the server does matter. And that's where your server settings or your publishing settings are the critical factor here, right? Not what you have named locally. So if we go and manage the site here, and we go to the servers, and we set up a new server, the root directory right here, you would have maybe something like public, I'm not sure, public underscore HTML slash home. That's how you would have to make sure that the files from the site you're working on go up to the correct folder on your server. Now your root folder is the public HTML or whatever it happens to be called. Let me just check the ticket here. Right, so to clarify, your setting would probably be something like make1c. That's your root directory on your server, if I understand what you're putting in your ticket. And then you would be putting your new website into the home folder. Okay, so that's how you keep it separate on the server. So you can work on the site, you define it just as I have described before, right? But when you go to publish, you make sure that it goes up to the home folder on your server. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because I'm simply approaching your question from the fact that you have a website, you want it to go into a subdirectory. That's cool. Still, you treat that as a separate website, and when you publish it up, you just make sure that you publish it up into the folder on your server that it needs to go into, in your case, the home folder, right? Now, I don't use Dreamweaver for publishing. I use FileZilla for publishing, so that way I can make sure the folders I'm moving from my local computer go exactly to where I want them to go on the server. If you want to keep everything encompassed in the same sort of structure on your local computer, that's fine. You can still do that. You still need to define the home folder for this particular site. Just define that as the website structure for this particular site. Let's get away from the whole root. Let's get root right out of the terminology here. Okay, let's just say when you define the new site, define your home folder. When you go to publish the site, make sure you set up your root directory so that you have your root folder followed by the home folder, and then you should be okay. And when you do your test and whatnot, right, you can actually check the server to make sure and see what's in the home folder when you publish. And like I said, if you're using another program like FileZilla, then you can see exactly where your files are going, and you don't have to worry about all the setup right here.